Hey pioneers, and welcome back. On our last video, we yeeted some parts into space, checked the new toys we have to play with, and drastically changed the way I'm playing the game because of a Reddit post I read in my phone while pooping. So now we are moving to the desert. But in order to do that, we have to get to the desert. So here we go. Those are 147 hours of my life I'm not getting back. I did change my blueprints to build this, and they look way different. I think they look better, and most importantly, they are way faster to build. And I'm using a hoverpack. Did you check that? Nico has a hoverpack. I'm happy. We are in the middle of the desert. Hot, sweaty, thirsty, and with no clue of how to move or what to do next. The idea is doing aluminum, but I don't know anything about aluminum, and I don't know anything about doing this type of factory. But let's start by breaking down the problems. Let's begin by designing the factory itself, and then we'll figure out how to build it. Got it. This is the layout I will be using. And I'm using a new tool called Satisfactory Modeler. From now on, I will be using this one that I think it's absolutely great. It's a free application you can find on Steam, really lightweight. And yes, it has its quirks. And for the first 10-15 minutes, I thought it was complete crap until you get used to it. And then you can design and compare recipes at an extreme high speed, and it's easy to visualize them. Let's make an example of the program itself. Let's suppose I want to craft screws. So here I write screw, and I can already see the 3 ways in the game to cast the screws. The ones in blue are alternate recipes. If you hold your mouse, it will give you all of the information, and this will be the base recipe. So let's assume we want to do screws out of steel. You get there your machine. So then you drag from the steel, and you get all of the different ways to craft steel beams, the normal recipe and the alternatives. So let's suppose we want to go with the normal recipe. So now we need our steel ingots. We repeat the same process. And there are several ways of doing it. Let's go again by the base recipe. So now we need coal and we need iron, and this is usually an input. So we go over here, and we can get the iron either from a miner or from converting it, but well, let's place a miner. By default, this comes on 60 per minute. Anyway, you can change the default, but let's assume I'm gonna have an MK4 belt, so that's 480. And then you have everything completed. Something in red means that you are missing this, and something in green means that you are not using this. So we should have to do this and put a miner for coal. Again, as this one gives 60, it will balance the whole system, but let's return it to 480. And there we go. We have our screw factory that we have 2 miners, 2 MK4 miners, and we end up with 6,000 screws. This is extremely fast and good to compare alternate recipes, and you get to do the decisions. Most tools out there makes the decisions for you. So yeah, I highly recommend this program. Now, let's show you what I've come up with. Here's our factory. I won't break it all down because I think that might be boring. I will just be mentioning the important aspects. For example, I'm considering my input 600 bauxite. This means an MK5 belt, and I currently don't have MK5 belts. MK4 is the fastest I can go. But as I'm so close to unlocking MK5, as a matter of fact, the only thing I'm missing is aluminum, I will design assuming I have MK5. At the beginning, machines won't be working at 100%. But once I get those belts, I will simply research them, replace this first segment, and everything will be working as designed. Then another fun thing I discovered, this loop over here has as a water input exactly the same amount as the water byproduct. So I'm actually doing a closed loop. Now, this system will never initialize because it needs water to start, But the idea is placing over here a water unpackager fed by a storage container. So to start the factory, I will throw in the storage containers and package water. That water will be unpackaged and will enter the system. And once it starts working, I will disconnect the water packager, turn it off, and then everything works. Then let's see, other thing I wanted to note is, for example, copper ingots. I don't need that much, so I won't be making them in the desert. This is, I think, 246. So this will come from my copper ingot factory. That's in the other end of the map, but well, I will just take a huge build. And silica, I will be doing my own silica in this factory, and I will be doing more than I need, because we are designing a mega factory. Sooner or later, I will need this for another thing. So it's good already having silica lying around. We can see over here in the left, all of my outputs. 410 silica, 12 aluminum scrap, 200 aluminum ingots, 296 aluminum sheets, and 222 aluminum casing. This might not be the best way of doing aluminum because it's the first time I do it. I have no experience, but I like the design, and I think I'm getting the most amount of aluminum out of one bauxite node. So let's go. I started placing some foundations to flatten the ground. Of course, there will be some height changes because the ground is not completely flat. And I don't know, I'm kind of scared about this. I don't know if it will end up looking good. But well, the idea is reserving this space for logistics floors, but it's not like all of these will be covered by a huge logistics floors. If we decide that at some point I need one, I will make a room, something like that, and we'll connect it through some stairs to the top. So we will have tiny rooms all over the place, and the good thing is that I can place a door that connects to another logistics level. So I would end up having like an underground city or something of the sorts. The thing that I like the least about this idea are the nodes, because they end up being too below everything. So I will have to figure out how to use them a tidy way. But well, I don't know what I'm doing. We need to start trying stuff out and see how it looks. So let's start by working on this phase, the one that does the quartz crystals. We need 26 assemblers, and I already have a blueprint that has 12. And it looks good, it's a tower. We would be adding verticality. So the idea is to place 3 of these, but what's the catch? If I do that, the division between 990 and 410, it's impossible to achieve. So they won't all be clocked at the exact same rate. For the 990, that will be covered by 2 blueprints, and the 410 will be covered by 1 blueprint. And these will have different clocks. I will have to do some shenanigans on the inputs, but for example, we have 2 limestone belts. So I could send those 2 limestone belts to the 2 blueprints that produce the 990, and the overflow send it to the 3rd tower. So that should kind of sort it out. It won't end up being absolutely load balanced because that's a smart manifold, but still better than manifolds. So let's plop some towers. Here we have our 3 blueprints and the first machines of this mega factory. Those 2 will be producing the silica we will actually be using for this project, and that one is the one that is creating the spare silica. I have the 3 outputs over here, where we don't actually need this one for the time being, and the 3 inputs are on this side. I'm taking it to the top level because I want to try to handle most of the logistics on the top. But these blueprints, for example, are already prepared to send everything to a logistics level, so I had no choice. I place some stairs, and this is a tiny logistics level. That probably I will end up adding doors, for example, a door over here to get to another one. And wow, there we go. I'm imagining that over this wall there will be a lot of power storage, but that will be done at a later stage. Now let's continue with something else. I was thinking about the blenders and the refineries. We need 4 of each, but to save power I will be placing 8. And this one is a tricky thing to do because there are pipes, there's packaged water. I have to think about the way to initialize the system. But well, let's improvise as we go. Check out this beauty. I'm really enjoying aluminum. Managed to do everything without a logistics floor on this segment of the factory. And it was a nice challenge. So let's start breaking it down. This is our solids input, that I guess it will be combined with those, with some sort of rail over here. I don't know, problem for future Nico. And we can see that the sulfur, that it's the lowest one, gets load balance among these 8 refineries. So let's follow this. Each one of them is connected in a 1-to-1 ratio to the blender, taking all of the sulfuric acid, no fluid dynamics over here. And then the output of the blender, that has water as a byproduct, is sent again to the input of these refineries. Ouch. This is the weird loop I had talked about, and I think it will work fine. It is a little bit risky because how do you initialize the system? You initialize it through this pipe. I placed it higher so that we don't have fluid dynamic issues. But the thing is that once we initialized it, we will cut the water from there, and this would end up being a dead end. And dead ends are never good. But I'm assuming as it goes really high, the water won't try to climb its way up when it can go that way. And what do we have over here? Well, we have 8 water and packagers connected in a 1-to-1 ratio. And they are fed by this industrial storage container. I even left instructions. So here you would dump packaged water. That packaged water would be evenly split among all of these water and packagers, and it would start up the system. And all of the empty canisters are being merged to a side, and I haven't connected it, but this would go to the sink, meaning you won't be getting the empty canisters back. Now, what else do we have? Blenders also need water to work. They need 30 per minute. So that water comes from this floor. That's almost the same as we have in the lowest floor with some minor differences. We can see that over here all of the packaged water is being load balanced, and all of the empty canisters are being merged all of this way up to here. So this, yes, this would be 2 inputs of the factory. Well, I could have done this. Over here we have to throw the packaged water, and over here we will receiving the empty canisters. And I'm supposing I will be getting the water from there, so it's kind of aligned to the place where we want to go. And well, the other solids that are needed by the blenders are load balanced over here on 2 levels, supported by columns. Everything is nice. I'm really excited. I want to turn it on, but there's still a lot of work to be done. So now all of the outputs are being merged on this side. We can only merge 4 at a time because 4 are already 600. So that's the belt limit. So we have 600 over here and 600 over there. And now I will be placing all of the foundries to convert these into aluminum ingots. And I have no idea what I'll do with that. I'll have to figure that one out. But most of the machines are already set up and I'm having fun. So let's continue. Next stage is done. I needed 13.2 foundries, and I already had this blueprint that gives us 24 load balanced foundries, so I said, well, let's use this one. And it came with some benefits. For example, on this blueprint, by design, each material has two inputs. This is an input for material 1, and that is an input for material 2. And on the other side, we have an input for material 1 and an input for material 2. That means a total of 4 inputs, and I actually have 4 belts. Because, for example, here the aluminum crap, I have it in 2 belts. And on the other side, the silica, I also have it in 2 belts. So that was a straight one-to-one connection. I mean, from the logistics level, I still haven't connected it on the top side. I did struggle a little bit with the outputs, because I'm supposed to get these numbers, and it wasn't easy. As a matter of fact, I thought, oh crap, this is impossible. Why did I design it this way? And I was about to cancel everything or redesign, but I managed to get it. And as a matter of fact, it's not that complex. If we go to this tiny logistics level, there's not that much splitters and mergers. And that gives us the division I wanted. I wanted to explain how I did it, mainly because I'm trying to go for shorter videos. But if you're curious, just let me know in a comment and I'll explain you or do a YouTube short. But the thing is that these shenanigans over here give us this division on the outputs. It's not load balanced, means there are smart splitters involved, so it will have a startup time. But I don't care at this stage. Now, regarding the underground city, my idea of connecting all of the logistics levels all together, I think it might end up looking quite dull. Of course, I will decorate all of these, place lights and stuff, but I feel like it might end up being long corridors going from one place to another. So I'm not that sure. And this is the only mod I have installed, and it's awesome. Let us have light. I did add a small room over here that also needs to be decorated, but well, we have a craft bench, a computer, and a way of getting to the top. So we can continue. We need some assemblers to craft the final products, a lot of sinks, well, maybe 1 or 2 sinks, but all of those connections connect each model to one another. But still, I have many doubts about what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. If we see it from here, it's nowhere close to what I was aiming. But anyway, this is not the final product, because of course all of those connections, they are going to make a little mess, a mess that I want to have, make it look more complex with more belts all over the place. And I still have to support all of these platforms. I will probably do catwalks that go from one place to another. So all of these might end up being more full. But anyway, I feel like I spread everything too much and that maybe I should have done everything more compact. There's no way to know at this stage. So far I'm not liking the result, but it's also too early to tell. So we'll see how it goes. Connecting all of these with all of, well, those two and all the other holes I have on the other side will make a huge difference on how this looks and feels. But for the time being, I want to plop all of the blueprints, all of the machines, and I will connect them later. So what is our next step? Well, crafting our last items that I don't remember how they are named, because this is the first time working with aluminum, but it was something of alcad aluminum sheet, and the other was aluminum casing. Yeah, we have to make those two. So probably somewhere around here. Let's go. Mission accomplished. I decided not to use the blueprint I had been using because I didn't want to get too repetitive, so I manually placed them. I needed 1.97 for the casings. I placed 4 load balance assemblers. And I needed 9.87 for the sheets, so I placed 12. With some pretty unconventional connections, but they are load balanced, and this is the kind of density I was actually expecting to have. A lot of belts and mergers and splitters to make it look more complex than what it actually is. So now a lot of progress has been made, but we need to focus on the hard part, connecting everything with everything, placing some sinks, some dimensional depots, and see how it ends up looking. So let's get on working. Done and dusted. And this is starting to get a little bit chaotic. I came up with this blueprint. This is going to be the way I transport stuff throughout the desert. This will be a huge megafactory, and I will have to connect many tiny factories with another one to take pieces from one place to another. And well, I will be doing it through this rail. I call it rail. I don't know. How should I call this? Does it have a name? I have no idea. I did make them way more wide than I usually do. It's only meant for 3 belts. Of course, I can go as high as I want, but only 3 belts wide. I usually handled my belts like this, but the truth is that if I want to take something from the middle, it's a headache if the sides have belts. So by doing it this way, I have the exact space I need to be able to take the belts without interfering with the rest. This is done via a compact lift. If you're wondering what that is, I explained it on my starter factory video, and I also made a short about it, so you can check the short. So well, what do we have? I only needed to place 2 sinks to be able to handle all of the overflow. We have one over there and one over here. And then all of the outputs, I placed them here. The outputs that are going to my dimensional depot. That, for example, right now, all of it is going to my dimensional depot because I'm not using, I don't have more factories in this region. And I made a tiny logistics floor that I still haven't decorated. And here we can see how it works. I added more storage than usual. First, materials go to this small one, then they go to the top one, that is the one that we can see from the top, and finally to a dimensional depot uploader. So yeah, that's basically it. I'm loving how it's looking. Oh, and here I'm showing the belts. I will probably add some lights on the sides. Anyway, this reflects too much. You won't be able to see a lot. But well, it's an idea. And I will be wrapping this video now. On the next one, we will be finishing everything. So what's left? We need to connect everything to the power grid, place some power storage, and connect all of the inputs. That I prepared them, so I only need to take the belts. Maybe this one requires more work, because this is packaged water and empty canisters that are going that way. So I will have to place some packagers and unpackagers. And I don't know if there's something else that I added. Well, I did add these stairs at the side. They look awesome. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please remember to leave a thumbs up or a comment. It really helps growing the channel. And even if you don't know what to comment, just say hi or what can we discuss today. You are on holidays. Where do you prefer to go? To the beach or to the mountain? I love beaches. As a matter of fact, I'm from Sydney, so I regularly go to them. But I think I would go to the mountain. I enjoy bushwalks a lot more, and I like being in contact with nature and doing good treks. So, what about you? I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one.